If you don't mind, take us back to the beginning. Like, how did you first get involved in real estate, and was there like a particular person or event that happened? What kind of sparked that interest for you?
Sure thing. So funny that you bring up elephants. I actually lived overseas in Thailand for a year, and in 2013, so we're almost 10 years, into the how long ago that was. But and elephants are everywhere there. I get back into the States 2014. I mean, I don't have credit like established at all. I had gotten two part-time jobs with a friend, and honestly, like I was trying to get my stuff back from Thailand. I am trying to reorient myself. And while I was at those two part-time jobs, someone like recommended that I take the job they were leaving. They're like, "Hey, this was the other part-time manager that I was working with." They're like, "Hey, you'd be a good fit." And that was a W-2 job in the real estate industry as a property manager. And I like to say it was like baptism by fire. It's like I adopted a mute child because literally on day one that I was hired, I managed a 100-unit marina that was owned by an apartment complex. And literally day one, I took the job as an assistant manager, and the manager had cancer, and day one he died in ICU. Like literally HR was there from California. They were walking me through like the paperwork. And so it's like literally it was an apartment complex corporation that owned one marina. And so the guy was like, "Well, he was supposed to train you. So figure it out." So
Right.
yeah, so it was fun. So that was a W-2 job, but I got very immersed very quickly, obviously, where it was 40% occupied and a 1-star review on the sites that matter in the boating world. So my regional managers come in and they would like, look through my leases, and they couldn't really fully audit me because it was just so different from their apartment complexes. But I had two tenants while there who were my mentors. So I had that job about 4 years, and I kind of just took, my approach to life is I just want to leave it better than I found it, right? And so every day I'm going in and just trying to figure it out, reading all the files in the office, asking all the vendors who, we had all their contact info, be like, "Hey, what are the jobs you've done here in the past? Tell me what you know." But I had two tenants there specifically that really mentored me. One of them was taught me a lot about business. He had just retired at 50 years old, bought a $200,000 sailboat at the marina and started living on it. So he was hanging out. He had just retired from BP Oil, and he was one of their acquisition managers who would acquire assets for them. So he taught me how to value businesses, and we actually made an offer in the marina together at one point. Thankfully, it didn't go through. Life would look a lot differently if it did, but he taught me a ton about finances and businesses and everything like that. Because during that time, I'm just improving it. But I took the marina from 40% occupied to 100% occupied within 2 years, with like really no oversight, because they didn't know how to like oversee me. It was the variation from their normal, which was apartment complexes. Like, I literally was like, "How do you evict a boat?" They're like, "We don't know. Go find out." like,
Right.
so from 40% occupied to 100% occupied, and then from a 1-star review to 5-star reviews on all the sites that matter. I even added additional slips and did some value add. And so he was like, "Hey, Courtney, you don't understand what we just did from a business perspective, right?" And then the second mentor, this guy, in the boating world, when you go to sell a boat, the joke is like, "Is this the second best day of your life?" The first is when you bought it, the second is when you sell it. Because he had moved a 50-foot power yacht into one of the slips because we had easy access to the lake, and he was like, wanting to put it there so he could show it to sell it easier. And I'm like, "Hey, is it the second best day of your life?" He said, "No, I just put a 70-footer behind my house." And long story short, I said, "Do you mind if I ask what you do?" And he said, "I'm a landlord." And he had over 40 rental properties, and he would leave me books left and right. So it was during that time that I bought my very first property. It was a short sale where we had to go to the bank and get a discount. But long story short, those two mentors they were teaching me as I was trying to find my next step forward, like the next right step for me. And so it was like an immersion into the real estate industry in some ways, but and by necessity, I learned a lot. But yeah, that's how I got started.